Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino. Ronnie Rance here with you, alongside our man TK Tommy Chrysan. Go ahead and like and share this video right now. That's what we're doing, liking and sharing. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's see. Let me get it in here. Boom, boom, boom. On today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about a lot about LSU baseball, as the Tigers have officially turned the corner and have now become a good team again. Did not make an error yesterday, made three the day before, but we'll get into that. TK, why don't you mute your laptop there for a minute just while all that's going on, and then we'll come back to you. Let me set up the show here for us. We're going to get into LSU baseball. Big news this weekend was LSU won 2 out of 3 against Alabama. The other big news is that Jacob Berry has a little bit of on the middle finger on his right hand, has a fracture, a light small fracture, stress fracture. He is able to swing right-handed, not able to swing left-handed. He's able to play if they want and swing it a little bit. We'll see. Don't expect him to play midweek. We'll get into that. What does that mean? How long could he possibly be out? And what's LSU going to do in lieu of having Jacob Berry in the lineup? Also, the other thing we'll get into is some news out of the NBA on who's going to be named the MVP of the NBA. We'll tell you that name of the reports that are coming out. Also, the Kentucky Derby had one of the biggest upsets in the history of the race this past weekend, and it set a record for the amount of money that was wagered on the Kentucky Derby. Way higher than last year, way higher than 8% more than ever in the greatest year back in 2019. So folks were really into the Kentucky Derby, and it was an epic, epic race. So we'll get into all that. Let's bring in Tommy Chrysan, who's fresh off the high of his son Brett getting married over the weekend. Congratulations, Tommy. The best thing about Brett getting married is you didn't have the heavy load on paying for it.
No, I had the rehearsal dinner and a couple other items, but, it was a lot lighter than the wedding. It was a tremendous event. Everybody had fun. A lot of Sports Shorts Daily fans were there from over the North Shore. It was at a place in Mandeville, Maison Lafitte, outstanding place for a reception. I was very proud and happy for my son.
Tommy, another guy that was proud and happy was Jay Johnson. He said yesterday was one of the most gratifying victories of the year as far as how his team played. They set a record for hits in a game in the SEC this year. They didn't make an error. He thought they really competed. The bullpen was outstanding again. Was he right?
I think he was. Here we are in May. And LSU's playing a lot better baseball than they were 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. So, did it come together a little bit? Lineup's a lot different than it was 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. And the more I watch Jay Johnson make pitching changes, I mean, he it's better to get a guy out too early than too late. He doesn't let a guy get into trouble and then try to work out of it. That's just his philosophy. But he told us for months before the season, I'm going to use 5, 6, 7 guys to get 27 outs. That's what he's got to do with this team. And this team has responded. I mean, they're tied for third overall in the SEC, tied for second in the West. Of course, that'll matter in the SEC tournament. But they got 6 conference games remaining, a couple of non-conference, and then maybe a third non-conference game if they get it scheduled. And, Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, who are not having good years at all, not the years anybody expected them to have. So it's in front of them. And to play what Jay Johnson thought was the very best game on Sunday is a big, big plus. I mean, you got some guys that have stepped up. And, now the thing with Barry's an issue. And, but this team's a lot better than they were a month ago.
What's interesting is that LSU won a series, Tommy, where all 3 starting pitchers had bad starts. Mikhail Hilliard was not a very good start, but at least he threw 4+ innings. Dutton, the starter on Sunday, went 2/3 of an inning, and Blake Money didn't get an out on Saturday, but yet you won one of those 2 games, and you were able to survive and win, even though Mikhail Hilliard had his worst start in over a month. So, that just gives you an idea of the depth of this bullpen. The fact also that their offense is pretty good, it tells the story. It's a very interesting. It's a catch-22 with this team. The defense isn't good. They don't have good starting pitching, but yet somehow they're on the verge of not only hosting a regional, but depending on what kind of run they go on, could could back into maybe being a national seed of some kind, a top 8 national seed potentially. So it's really amazing. They're doing it in some ways with mirrors. A couple of thoughts. Blake Money, I was shocked that he got the ball on Saturday, Tommy. I thought by now they realized Blake Money, it's not going to happen for him this year. Not that he can't have value out of the bullpen, because if he only knows he's throwing an inning or two, that's a different mindset than if you're trying to be a starter. But I was shocked they sent him back there on Saturday. I just had a feeling, he's done nothing since his wrist injury for you to believe it was going to be a good one.
I agree with you completely. I was surprised when I saw that he was pitching. You announced that on Sports Shorts Radio near the end. I was a little surprised by that. I thought maybe Hasty has earned a chance to start and give you 3-4 innings, pitch count slow, get into the 5th inning. But obviously it's up to Jay Johnson and his staff. And, I would suspect we might see something different in the Ole Miss series. Now, we thought we'd see it different in Bama. Let's let it play out, as you like to say, and we'll see what might happen, going forward.
Chance Babin joining us as starters, only pitching 4 2/3 inning is an odd stat, especially since Hilliard had 4. You're right, and also Chance, the fact that they just won 2 of the 3. That's amazing. Here's what I would do. Obviously, I'm not getting paid a dime, so it doesn't matter what I would do. But there's Floyd. You believed in Ty Floyd at the beginning of the year enough to where he was your starting SEC Saturday pitcher against A&M the first series of the year. It didn't go well. He got knocked out in the 2nd inning after giving up 2 big giant home runs, and then you kind of relegated him to the back end of the bullpen. Now he's sort of earned your trust and worked his way back in, had his best outing of the year against UL Lafayette a couple weeks back and went 5 innings in that one. Ty Floyd is a real option, particularly he threw well in relief. Even though the last 4 of a blowout or meaningless innings, Ty Floyd did well. Also, but the guy that I would go with is Jacob Hasty. Jacob Hasty has been the story of the month of April. They found this guy, came out of nowhere. He's been fantastic. He didn't make his first appearance till after the calendar struck April's Fools. And then he's been great the last 30 days. He went 4 innings in relief yesterday of Dutton. He only gave up 2 hits. He struck out 4, didn't walk anybody. And then he also threw a couple 2/3 or whatever on Friday. I would go with Jacob Hasty on Saturday, Tommy. That's what I would do. Or go Jacob Hasty Saturday, Ty Floyd Sunday. The problem with Hasty is that he's so valuable out of the pen. Do you want him to pitch twice? Or do you want to only pitch once? I think that's the dilemma that they have right now with him.
And that's a very fair question and a good assessment by you. Can he help the team more throwing in 2 games? So I don't know. I'd start him. I'm like you. I'm not getting paid a dime. I'd start him on Saturday and say, hey, go as long as you can. We'll watch the pitch count. You just throw the ball over the plate. And you could use Money twice. I mean, he hasn't thrown a whole lot of pitches the last 2 weeks. His arm should be good and rested, where maybe you put him in the role you had Hasty. One other thing, I hate to be critical, but Jay Johnson's really into this lefty-righty, righty-lefty thing. And I don't know if he overcooks that sometime. Again, he's the coach. He's been to Omaha twice, and he's tied for 3rd in the SEC, so maybe I shouldn't be critical. But, that lefty-righty, righty-lefty thing, I think sometimes you got to go against the grain on that, especially if a guy's doing good. Like Reiselman didn't want to come out of the game Saturday. You could show the dugout, the camera found him in the dugout, and he didn't want to come out of the game, okay? But I want guys that don't want to come out of the game. That's how you win. But, I would have let him go a little bit longer. But nobody knows it better than Jason Kelly and Jay Johnson. So they're going to do what they got to do.
So we did get confirmation, just FYI, that Lamar and LSU are not going to play, by the way. Remember they got rained out earlier this year? They're not going to make that up. Looking at the schedule, Tommy, it looks to me like it's a situation where if it's got to be Southern, right? Or it's got to be some local team that comes in and plays a businessman special on a Tuesday type of thing. LSU, obviously, they're not going to play any other team other than Southeastern tomorrow. They haven't announced.
Northwestern State next Tuesday.
They've got Northwestern State next Tuesday, but then they start Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm betting on this. Jay Johnson feels like he just doesn't need that game, Tommy. I mean, is Jay Johnson really going to play 2 games next Tuesday when he's got a Thursday, Friday, Saturday game, or play a game on Monday? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he could jam in a Southern on Monday or something. That's to me the only play here, because it's not about. I mean, look, you're going to win the game, right? You're going to schedule correctly. You're going to win the game. But where's the value? Do you gain anything by beating Southern on a Monday or a businessman special and a doubleheader on a Tuesday? Or do you do more damage by using up innings from your pitchers that you're going to need for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on a short week in Nashville against Vanderbilt?
Well, here's what he might be thinking. This is what I think he's thinking. Let's wait till Sunday night and see what happens in the Ole Miss series. If he takes 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss, or if he takes all 3, maybe he takes your route and says, hey, I don't need that other game now. Now if he were to lose 2 or somehow get swept, then for the RPI, he may say, let's get a W here. But beating Southern's not going to help the RPI a whole lot. You're not going to get a ranked team to do it. Right. So, that you may have a 55-game season instead of 56 in the regular season. And that might be, like you said, that might work well for this pitching staff based on what we've seen.
By the way, a little birdie told me that that might have been Jay's idea not to play Lamar. By the way, so it's interesting that that's the route they're going to take, because in years past, and look, LSU's in a different situation. 1988, LSU was in the same situation under Skip Bertman. They lost. They had a midweek game to make up at the end of the season, and it was against whoever, I forget. It wasn't, but they added Southern at the last minute, and I think it was even a doubleheader, Tommy. They might have had 2 games to make up, and they ended up playing Southern in a doubleheader in the final week. They swept them both, but they were fighting to get into the NCAA tournament that year just to make the field, and they didn't, by the way, in 1988. This is a situation where it's not about getting into the tournament. It's whether or not you think this is going to help you get a higher seed in the tournament. Do you think having an extra win is going to help you get a top 8 national seed? That's what this game is about. And I think Jay is banking on whether we beat Lamar, whether we beat Southern, that one extra win is not going to make a difference. And therefore, I don't want to use up our pitching that we would need just to get through that game.
I like the way you analyze that. I agree with it. We don't know what Jay Johnson's thinking, but there's a very good chance that is what he is thinking.
All right. Well, the big story also out of the weekend was 2 things. Dylan Cruz, I can't believe LSU is going to have him for a year. Cruz was dominant this weekend, picked up with Barry out. I can't believe LSU is going to be so lucky to have Dylan Cruz next year. The guy should be playing professionally. It's amazing, but if he doesn't win the gold, he's LSU's best bet to win the Golden Spikes since Ben McDonald next year. The other thing is Jacob Berry, who's probably going to be on that short list for the Golden Spikes, fractures his finger on his throwing hand. Reports are fielding a ground ball, we've been told, in practice. I would not play him until he's telling you he's ready to go, Tom. It's not worth – you need him in the postseason.
Yeah, you really do. And, I would be surprised. He's not going to play against Southeastern. I'd bet a Diet Coke on that, okay? So you got to try to get him ready Friday for Ole Miss. But let me tell you something. That ball Cruz hit out of left field and landed on some street way well beyond the fence. Watch the replay of that. That ball's actually inside, which would make sense, but he got his hands inside. He's got to have some of the quickest hands in America. I mean, that was a hitter clinic on how to drive a ball that's on the inner half of the plate and not just hit it, not just pop it, where it is. I mean, that ball was crushed. And then that ball over the batter's eye. Ronnie, you know this. I know this. Baseball people know this. When you hit a ball over 400 feet to dead center, there's no way to hit it harder. Kind of like your teammate La Mouton did in Omaha that year. Skip still says that's the furthest ball he ever saw hit, in spite of some moon shots by Brandon Larson back in the day. So when you hit that ball out of dead center, well over 400 feet, you're one of the best players in the country. I don't care what anybody says.
Dylan Cruz is absolutely spectacular. By the way, with Jacob Berry out of the lineup, that presents opportunity to do something different on defense. Again, if I was the coach, I'd move K. Doty to third base, and I would just roll with whoever you'd like, Bianco or whoever the hot hand is at second, because that's a much easier position to play. They went with Collier Cranford, who's known as a glove man, who's had about as many at bats as you and I this year, and it looked like it. He was 0 for 5 with 3 punch outs over there at third base. I don't think that's the answer, quite frankly. They may be giving that kid an opportunity just because he's worked hard and all that. And maybe they feel like, hey, let's get some defense in there. But I don't know if 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts is worth an error, once a week or something. And I think Doty's better just kind of reacting to the ball type of thing, knock it down, grab it, throw it across the diamond. But that said, that's going to be interesting to watch what they do. Drew Bianco, they pulled 2 guys off the trash heap yesterday. Bianco and Cranford, they had to be as shocked as you or I when they got there. Hey, you're starting today. What? You still remember who I am? You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. Drew Bianco paid off 2 big 2-out RBI hits yesterday. The guy showed his veteran presence in that role. The emergence of Pearson, Cruz taking it to another level, even with Berry out, I think they've got plenty enough offense. It's just now about the pitching, and can you get a little better defense with Berry out?
I agree 100%. Spot on analysis there. And I'll be at the game tomorrow night when they play the Lions from Southeastern.
Your alma mater.
Who, like you said the other day, you put all the Southland teams in a bag and shake them up. It was a 5-way tie for first place going into Sunday action. Now, I'm assuming it's not 5-way anymore, but I look forward to being at the box tomorrow night, and should be a nice crowd. Let's hope it's a big crowd, because this is 5-game homestand. You got Southeastern, 3 with Ole Miss, and Northwestern State. There's a chance, that's the last regular season games at the box. And, of course, we really think they're going to host a regional. But if something gets crazy, that's your last 5 home games for the season.
Boy, things really changed a lot after this past weekend in the Southland. Going into the final week of the season, your first-place teams are McNeese and Southeastern. The Lions swept over the weekend.
Also had a guy through a 1-hitter, 9-inning 1-hitter.
I mean, in Southeastern, if you look at their stats, they're not a good team. So they are fighting and clawing. They got a good coach, and they're getting it done. So the same can be said for McNeese a little bit. So the Cowboys and Southeastern are both 12-9. UNO is 11-10. Nichols is 11-10. Northwestern State is 11-10, and Houston Baptist is 11-10. So you've got 6 teams within a game of each other. So the final weekend will be very interesting.
And you know what? The Southland Conference this year for the tournament, it's on campus sites. Right. It's not like in one place like it usually is.
Different sites, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're Southeastern Nichols or McNeese or even Northwestern could end up, in a conference tournament game in their own ballpark, which you think would be good, very good.
Some great series this weekend. McNeese, who's in first place, goes on to take on Houston Baptist, who's tied for second, and then you've got Nichols, who's in second, taking on Southeastern, who's in first. So, I mean, a lot of things are going to shake out this weekend. The team
I think we got to, give a quick prop to Mike Silva and Nichols. I mean, here's a team that struggled last year in conference play, and now they got a chance to win it. And they host the Lions this weekend in Thibodaux. That ballpark's much improved. So, a little shout out to the job they've done down there with Colonel Baseball.
And also, UNO is taking on Northwestern State. Both of those teams are in second place. The good news is the way the schedule worked out, Tommy, the 2 bottom teams that have no chance of winning this thing play each other. A&M, Corpus Christi, and UIW. So it works out great. I mean, it is going to be – I wish we could get this on – I think it's some of these games, if not all, are on ESPN+, so you can jump around and watch it on the app, because literally the 6 teams that are a game of each other all play each other. That's going to be fun to see who hosts. Top 2 teams host the Southland Conference tournament. So, I mean, we'll be watching on that. All right, TK, before we go, I want you it's being reported that the Joker, by the way, we'll talk more about it on Wednesday, the Joker out of Denver, the Nuggets, who was the first player in history to have 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a season, going to pick up his second MVP in back-to-back years. He averaged 27.1, 13.8 rebounds, and 7.9 assists. Unbelievable year for him. Kentucky Derby, I want to get your take on it. Some years I am all in, some years I am all not. I was watching it at LeBears while I was emceeing an event there on Saturday. Kentucky Derby, 84-1 long shot, wins the Derby. Everybody's worried about the front runners, and down the rail on the back stretch, down the stretch they come, on the rail opens up in a giant upset. It was so much fun.
All right, you see the Mississippi State coach Mike Leach's quote? He tweeted right after it. He said, "This is why you got to expand the college football playoffs, because this horse, Rich Strike, wasn't even in the Derby until Friday morning. He was a last-minute entry, and as Leach said, he didn't win any important race leading up to the Derby. He didn't have, he was bought at a maiden claim. I mean, and he ended up. So Leach is saying, give these other college football teams a chance to see if they can make it happen, like Rich Strike did, winning the Derby at 80-1. I was busy with Brett's wedding, so I was not a Derby guy this year. But no, what a great story, and maybe just what horse racing needed was a good, fresh story like that.
No doubt about it. They need this. It's like a boxing type of deal. They get 3 Saturdays a year to anybody cares about horse racing. This is going to be a movie. Maybe it'll be on Netflix in a year and a half. This movie about Rich Strike. The only other thing we'll find out is if the rise and fall. We'll find out if Rich Strike had a little juice shot up into Rich Strike on Friday to make him run a little faster. We'll see if they test the vials and all that stuff comes out down the road. But I mean, unbelievable. The horse was claimed for $30,000. The guy who owns the horse isn't even really a horse owner. There's just a couple buddies like you and I. Let's put some money up, get a horse, and it wins the Derby. I mean, it's a movie. And it's better than a movie because it happened in real life, and
it's going to put a little attention. I don't know if this horse can win the Triple Crown, because it's going to put a little bit more attention on the last 2 legs of the Triple Crown, which for horse racing people and horse racing fans, that's a good thing. The more they talk about you, the better.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by LeBears Casino. TK joining us today from Court Street Cafe in Port Allen, where they got a little breakfast going on.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 6 days a week. Court Street Cafe, Facebook and Instagram. They post the lunch specials, dinner specials. Check them out. They got lots of good stuff going here. 2 minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge. You can be in the parking lot at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Again, follow them on Facebook and Instagram. You'll always know what's happening at Court Street Cafe, Port Allen.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday. Till then, don't forget, go to brrugaroo.com, brrugaroo.com. Get your season tickets now. We're less than 30 days away from the start of the season, and June 7th is going to be our first home game. Opening day at home, June 7th, less than 30 days away. May 31st, we actually start on the road in Lafayette. For Tommy Christ, I'm Ronnie Rance. Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by our good friends over at LeBears Casino. Have a good one, everybody.